There's a particular kind of woman the universe watches closely. She's not the loudest in the room. She doesn't announce her struggles or parade her pain. She's the one who learned to stand when everyone else walked away. The one who became her own life raft in an ocean of abandonment. And according to Carl Jung, the father of analytical psychology, something extraordinary happens to these women. Something the universe reserves only for those who've walked through the fire, alone, and emerged transformed. If you've ever had to be your own hero, if you've rebuilt yourself from fragments no one else saw breaking, this message is for you. Stay until the end, because what we reveal about your future will change how you see everything you've been through. I am not what happened to me. I am what I choose to become. But what happens when that choice is made in complete solitude? What occurs in the psyche of a woman who has no choice but to become strong because no one else would be strong for her? Jung spent his lifetime studying the human psyche, the collective unconscious, and the patterns that shape our destinies. And within his work lies a profound truth about women who've had to carry their own weight, fight their own battles, and heal their own wounds. These women undergo what Jung called individuation, but in its most intense form. They don't just discover themselves. They forge themselves. And the universe recognizes this forging. Today, we're exploring the psychology of solitary strength, the invisible transformation that occurs, the unique gifts the universe bestows, and why your struggles weren't punishment, but preparation. So grab your journal, get comfortable, and let's dive into what makes you the woman who stood alone, absolutely extraordinary. Chapter 1. The woman who had nitrogen monoxide choice but to be strong. Let's begin by acknowledging who we're talking about, because this isn't about women who chose independence as a lifestyle. This is about women who woke up one day and realized no one was coming. Maybe you were the daughter who raised herself because your parents were physically there but emotionally absent. Maybe you were the girlfriend who discovered that love didn't mean partnership. Perhaps you were the mother who realized you were parenting, alone even within a marriage. Jung believed that our psyche seeks wholeness. But what happens when you're forced to become both the masculine and feminine, both the nurturer and the protector, both the soft place to land and the warrior who fights? You became what psychologists call self-reliant, but that term is too simple for what actually occurred. You didn't just learn to rely on yourself. You learned to parent yourself, to believe in yourself when no one else did, to be your own witness. The psychological impact. Jung talked about the dark night of the soul, that moment when everything we thought we could depend on crumbles. For you, this wasn't a moment. It was a season, maybe years. During this time, something remarkable happens in the psyche. You stop waiting. You stop hoping someone will rescue you. You stop looking at your phone expecting the message that will change everything. This isn't giving up. This is waking up. And according to Jung, this awakening is the first step toward what he called psychological birth, the loneliness that teaches. But let's be honest about the cost. The loneliness of being strong alone isn't just about being physically by yourself. It's about celebrating your victories in silence, making hard decisions with no one to consult, crying where no one can hear you, pretending you're okay when you're falling apart, being the strong friend while you're breaking, smiling through exhaustion no one acknowledges. Jung understood that this kind of loneliness doesn't just hurt. It transforms. It burns away everything that isn't truly you. Every false belief, every people-pleasing tendency, every need for external validation. You didn't want this transformation, but you're getting it anyway. Chapter 2. The Invisible Transformation. Now here's where Jung's psychology becomes fascinating. He believed that our greatest wounds become our greatest wisdom. but not automatically, only when we consciously integrate them. The woman who stands strong alone undergoes what Jung called the process of individuation, becoming a complete, undivided self. But your version is unique. You stopped performing. Most people spend their lives performing. Performing happiness. Performing success. Performing the role society gave them. But when you're alone with your struggles, there's no audience to perform for. This is when you meet your true self. Not the self you've been told to be. Not the self that gets approval. But the raw, unfiltered, complicated, beautiful self that exists beneath the performance. Jung called this the true self, spelled with a capital S, and most people never meet her. You did, out of necessity. You developed internal authority. When no one was there to validate your choices, you had to develop what Jung called internal authority. You became your own cheerleader, decision maker, truth teller, permission giver, validator. This is rare. Most people outsource these roles their entire lives. They need someone else to tell them they're good enough, smart enough, deserving enough. Not you. You had to become your own source. You faced your shadow. Jung's most famous concept is the shadow, all the parts of ourselves we reject, deny, or hide. Most people spend their lives running from their shadow. But when you're alone in the darkness of struggle, you don't have that luxury. You come face to face with your rage, your grief, your fear, your shame, your unworthiness wounds, your abandonment patterns. And here's the profound part. You didn't just face them. You integrated them. You learned that your anger was protecting something precious. Your grief was honoring what mattered. Your fear was showing you what you needed to take care of. One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. Sister, you made your darkness conscious. And that changes everything. You discovered your animus. In Jungian psychology, every woman has what's called an animus, her inner masculine energy. This isn't about gender. It's about action, assertion, protection, logic, boundaries, courage. Most women are taught to suppress their animus, to always be soft, accommodating, gentle. But you didn't have that luxury. You had to become your own protector. You learned to say no, to set boundaries, to walk away, to fight back, to choose yourself. This integration of masculine and feminine energies is what Jung called psychological androgyny, and it's the mark of a fully individuated person. Chapter 3. What the universe does with women like you. Now we arrive at the heart of our message. Because Jung didn't just study psychology. He studied synchronicity, meaningful coincidences. He studied how the universe responds to psychological transformation. And here's what happens to women who've been strong alone. 1. The universe removes what's not aligned. You've probably noticed that since you began standing in your strength, certain people have disappeared from your life. Relationships ended. Friendships faded. Opportunities closed. This isn't punishment. This is protection. Jung believed that as we individuate, our external reality rearranges to match our internal reality. You're no longer vibrating at the frequency of people-pleasing 9, overgiving, self-abandonment, tolerating disrespect, accepting crumbs. So the universe removes everyone and everything that requires you to betray yourself. It might feel like loss, but it's liberation. 2. The universe sends you tests. Here's something no one tells you. After transformation, the universe will send you tests that look suspiciously like your old patterns. The emotionally unavailable person who shows interest. The opportunity that requires you to shrink yourself. The friend who only calls when they need something. The situation that tempts you to abandon your boundaries. These aren't setbacks. They're exams. The universe is asking, did you really learn? Or do we need to go through this lesson again? And when you pass these tests, when you recognize the pattern and choose differently, something magical happens. The test stops appearing. 3. The universe gives you spiritual gifts. Jung spoke extensively about how suffering cracks us open to spiritual dimensions we couldn't access before. Women who've been strong alone often develop heightened intuition. You can sense people's true intentions immediately. You know when something's off before anyone else does. You trust your gut implicitly. Deep empathy without absorption. You can hold space for others' pain without taking it on. You understand suffering from the inside. You help without fixing or saving. Psychic sensitivity. You pick up on energy shifts. You have prophetic dreams. You experience synchronicities regularly. You feel guided by something larger. These aren't random. Jung called these compensations, gifts the psyche develops to balance our suffering. 4. The universe makes you magnetic. Here's something beautiful. When you become whole within yourself, you become magnetic to what's truly meant for you. Not because you're trying, but because you've cleared the frequency. You've removed the blocks. You've become a clear channel. The universe sends people who value what you bring. Opportunities aligned with your authentic self. Connections based on mutual respect. Resources you didn't even know you needed. Jung called this enantiodromia, the tendency of things to turn into their opposite. Your deepest loneliness becomes the source of your most authentic connections. 5. The universe gives you a sacred purpose. This is perhaps the most profound gift. Women who've been strong alone don't just survive. They develop a mission. You become the mentor for women still in the struggle. The voice for those who can't speak yet. The example that transformation is possible. The light in someone else's darkness. Jung believed that those who've individuated have a sacred responsibility to help others on their journey, not by rescuing them, but by being living proof that the journey is possible. Your pain wasn't wasted. It was preparation. 6. The universe rewards your authenticity. Finally, the universe gives you something precious, ease. Not because life becomes easy, but because you're no longer fighting yourself. You're no longer pretending to be smaller than you are, hiding your gifts, apologizing for your strength, dimming your light, tolerating what drains you. The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely. You've done that terrifying thing. And now, life can flow through you rather than against you. Chapter 4. The wisdom you carry now. Let's talk about what you know now that others don't, because your journey gave you wisdom that can't be taught in books or learned in classrooms. You know that strength isn't what we were told. Society tells us strength means never breaking, never crying, never needing help. You know differently. Real strength is breaking down and choosing to rebuild. Asking for help when you actually need it, not performing independence. Being vulnerable with safe people. Admitting you don't have all the answers. Starting over as many times as it takes. Most people never learn this. They confuse being alone with being lonely. You know, solitude is sacred space. Loneliness is disconnection from self. You can be alone and completely fulfilled. You can be surrounded and completely lonely. Loneliness does not come from having no people about one, but from being unable to communicate the things that seem important to oneself. You've learned to communicate those things to the most important person, yourself. You know that healing isn't linear. You've lived this truth. Some days you feel completely healed. Other days, the wound reopens. This doesn't mean you're failing. It means you're human. Jung understood that healing happens in spirals. We circle back to old wounds at deeper levels. But here's what you know that others don't. Each time you circle back, you handle it differently, with more wisdom, more compassion, more tools. You're not back at square one. You're at square 1000, just visiting old terrain from a higher perspective. You know your worth isn't negotiable. This is perhaps your greatest wisdom. You learn the hard way that you don't need to convince anyone of your value. The right people will see it without proof. Chasing someone who doesn't choose you is self-abandonment. You can love someone and still walk away. Closure comes from you, not from them. You've stopped explaining yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you, fighting for a seat at tables where you're not valued, shrinking so others feel comfortable, apologizing for having standards. This wisdom makes you dangerous. In the best way. Dangerous to systems that rely on women staying small. Dangerous to people who profit from your self-doubt. You know that forgiveness is for you. Here's subtle wisdom. You've learned that forgiveness doesn't mean reconciliation. It doesn't mean what happened was okay. It doesn't require you to let toxic people back in. Jung taught that holding resentment is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. You've learned that forgiveness is releasing the pain's hold on you, refusing to let the past define your future, choosing freedom over being right, accepting that some people will never understand what they did. You forgave, not because they deserved it, but because you deserved peace. Chapter 5. How to honor your journey. As we move toward our conclusion, let's talk about how to honor what you've been through. Because this isn't just about surviving. It's about integrating and honoring your journey. Create a ritual of acknowledgement. Jung was big on ritual. He understood that the psyche responds to symbolic action. Create a personal ritual that honors your journey. Write a letter to your younger self who is struggling alone. Create an altar with symbols of your strength. Light a candle monthly on the anniversary of when you chose yourself. Keep a victory journal of moments you were your own hero. This isn't indulgent. It's integrative. You're telling your psyche, what we went through mattered. Who we became matters. Set boundaries around your story. Not everyone gets to hear your story. Not everyone has earned access to your sacred journey. Jung warned against what he called psychological violation. When we share deep truths with people who can't hold them safely, you have every right to keep your healing private. Share only with trusted people. Say, I'd rather not discuss that. Protect your story from judgment. Your pearls are precious. Don't cast them before swine. Mentor without martyring. Because of what you've been through, you'll attract women who are still in the struggle. They'll see your strength and want your secrets. Honor your journey by helping without rescuing, sharing wisdom without carrying their burdens, pointing the way without walking their path, believing in them without doing the work for them. Remember Jung's wisdom. I am not what happened to me. I am what I choose to become. They must make that choice too. You can't make it for them. Celebrate your independence without armoring. Here's a delicate balance. You've earned your independence, but don't let it become armor that prevents authentic connection. Jung warned about what he called identification with the persona, becoming so attached to our survival identity that we can't soften when it's safe. You can be strong and soft, independent and interdependent, self-sufficient and willing to receive, protective of yourself and open to love. These aren't contradictions. They're integration. Trust your unique timeline. Finally, honor your journey by refusing to compare your timeline to anyone else's. Your healing will take as long as it takes. Your breakthrough will come when it comes. Your next chapter will begin when you're truly ready. The shoe that fits one person pinches another. There is no recipe for living that suits all cases. There is no recipe for your healing. Only your own intuitive knowing. So let's come full circle. Remember the woman we started with? The one standing alone, wondering if anyone saw her struggle? The universe saw. The universe always sees. And what did the universe do with you? The woman who had to be strong alone? It forged you into something rare. It gave you gifts others don't have, wisdom that can't be taught, strength that radiates quietly, authenticity that can't be faked, purpose born from pain, compassion earned through suffering. Jung wrote, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." Most people never claim this privilege. They live and die as who they think they should be. Not you. You became who you truly are because you had no choice. And now that forced transformation has become your greatest gift. Here's what's coming for you now. The universe is preparing to show you why you had to walk alone. Why no one could come with you on that journey. Why you had to become both the journey and the destination. You're about to enter a season where the right people appear effortlessly. Opportunities align with your authentic self. Your gifts are recognized and valued. Your voice carries weight because you earned it. Your presence alone inspires transformation in others. Not because you're trying, but because you became. If you're watching this and tears are streaming down your face, if you're feeling seen for the first time in years, if something in you is saying, "This is me," I want you to know, you didn't just survive, you metamorphosed. And the universe has been watching your transformation with the same awe we watch a butterfly emerge from its cocoon, because it knows what we're just beginning to understand. The woman who had to be strong alone becomes the woman who changes the world. Not through force, but through presence. Through being living proof that transformation is possible. Through embodying the strength that doesn't need to announce itself. Jung's final gift to us was this truth: your vision will become clear only when you can look into your own heart. Who looks outside dreams? Who looks inside awakes. Sister, you're awake. And your awakening is a gift to all of us.